morning, and welcome to my very loud car, because it was cold last night, and my car is dramatic. Welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I am tired. I have a very mild sore throat. So I can say I'm tired every day, like it's part of the intro of the show. Anyway, I did get an annoyed comment on YouTube that I should cut to the chase and get to the review on a review of Triangle of Sadness, because they don't quite understand the conceit of the show, I guess. But whatever, be that as it may, today we're here to talk about the second episode of Season 3 of The Mandalorian. And I really dug this episode. I really appreciated what they were doing. I think they did a lot of... I really liked the idea of giving Grogu stuff to do instead of just having Grogu be a parcel. Even after they don't deliver Grogu to Werner Herzog, he's still kind of just a parcel that's got to be protected. And to give him stuff to do, to give him, like, oh, he is now actively being trained. He is now an apprentice. So he can use the Force, and he can be a, he can be a useful part of this operation. It's interesting. And I know his name is Grogu. I feel like I'm going to end up calling him Baby Yoda at some point. Only because when I refer to it when I'm talking to my mom, it's Baby Yoda. Because if I say Grogu, she's like, that's dumb, it's Baby Yoda. It's like, alright. So, I think that, going with that is an interesting choice. It's like, especially now that we're getting into, he's going to Mandalore to reclaim his honor. And I think that it's great also, and I'm a little interested to see where this goes, considering it seems like everything's going to be wrapped up by the end of the next episode, where it's like, alright, he's gonna no longer be excommunicado, to use the terminology of John Wick. That's going to resolve itself within 3 episodes, and we're also going to have, who's the other one? The issue with Bo-Katan is also going to be somewhat resolved, I think. And I think that's also an interesting thing to do, because it gives you not a lot of leeway, but enough leeway where you can, you now have an open season to do whatever the hell else you want to do. What else is happening elsewhere in the galaxy? Are we going to go back to bounty hunting? Is it going to be a season of him training Grogu to be a full-fledged Mandalorian foundling? And that would be cool. I really enjoyed him going, when he went to Tatooine and Amy Sedaris is there, I was like, fuck me. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am sick and tired of Tatooine. I cannot express how little I care about Tatooine. Yet, and when we're first introduced to Tatooine, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, when we're first introduced to Tatooine, the thing that we're told is that it is a shithole in the middle of nowhere. If there's a bright, shining core to the galaxy, then Tatooine is you're on the planet furthest from it. It's a dismal place where it's just, rampant with crime and not a great place altogether. And the issue I have with it is that it's like, and yet it is apparently the most interesting fucking place in the galaxy, because it's like, okay, so Mando goes back there in Season 1, alright, that's fine. Then we have the entirety of Book of Boba Fett, multiple episodes of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, multiple episodes during Kenobi. Thankfully, Andor didn't go there. It shows up in all of the Star Wars movies except for episodes 5, 7, and 8 in some capacity, and I would say it's possible that had the set pictures not leaked, Jakku wouldn't exist and it would just be Tatooine. feel like that's kind of spiteful bullshit that J.J. Abrams pulled, where it's like, oh, well, we'll change it a little bit. It's Jakku, and then they had to rewrite the entire fucking lore to do that. But and then it shows up again at 9, and I'm like, I could not give less of a shit about Tatooine. And I think that for it to happen in this episode, for it to factor in so little, because he goes there to see Amy Sedaris, who he trusts to give him parts for IG-88, or IG-10, or IG whatever. And she's talking to him, and she goes, she's like, oh, well, I can't get you IG parts. Those things haven't existed in a long-ass time. What I can give you is, I can give you this guy, and it's, and it's R5 from, the one that, Uncle Owen almost bought instead of R2, and then he blew up, he had a bad motivator, and I was like, alright, I can appreciate that. And then for him to have such a major starring role in the entire episode, I was like, oh, this is cool. Okay, I appreciate this. And my question is this a situation where it's a character that I only care about because I know it? And I think, yeah, it is. And I if someone doesn't remember A New Hope that specifically, they may not remember that part, because it's such a small bit, where it's like, you know, they remember Uncle Owen buying R2, if they remember that, Uncle Owen buying R2 and C-3PO, they probably don't remember Uncle Owen almost buying R5 blowing up, and then going with R2 instead. And it's such a great, like, thing for him to be there, and for him to, like, be, like, he seems kind of obstinate through the entire thing, too, which is also great. But, yeah, but my thing is, are we just not going to resurrect IG-11, I think is what it is. Are we just not going to resurrect IG-11 now, because I don't think we necessarily need to, because the only reason he needed IG-11 was to get through Mandalore and determine if it was safe. But then he had R5 do that, so is IG-11 really necessary? I don't think so. I would say you can probably get by at this point without that. But then that would also, maybe, there's something in IG-11's memory banks that they need, which is going to bring in Babu Freak. Now, here's the thing, that I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, because that's the thing, is we know Babu Freak's in this season. We know that Mando's going to take a trip to Kijimi, which, alright, I actually didn't mind the design of Kijimi. The planet where the Red Power Ranger's from, played by Kerry Russell in, in episode 9. That planet is the one where it's like, alright, that's pretty cool. I appreciate, Zori, what's her name? Zori Bliss. And that planet had a cool design, even if it did look like it had just come out of a, a Life magazine spread of a town during Christmas. Or like if you ever go to the Yankee Candle Factory up in Massachusetts, they have like the Christmas town there. It kind of reminded me of that. But whatever. If he's gonna go there, he needs something off of a memory bank to get it. And I think it's possible I think what could end up happening is Grogu could get kidnapped by the Empire again, but we'd be retreading the same ground. And for whatever reason, it's like, oh, let's go into IG-88's memory bank, or IG-11's memory. IG-88 was the one in Empire Strikes Back. IG-11's memory bank, and do that. Loved all the Bo-Katan stuff. Loved letting her get her own action sequence. Loved Grogu going to get her. Like, that whole bit was hilarious, where it's like, his ship comes in, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna send him away once and for all. And then it's like, she goes out, and she's like, I told you not to come back here. I don't want anything to do with you. And then fucking Grogu pops his head up, and she's like, what happened to him? And then they have to go back to Tatooine. Like, it's such a great, like, comedic beat. And I think that it's like they have so many little great beats like that over the course of these 2 episodes that I'm all for it. And one of the other things that really struck me when I was watching this episode is just how much Star Wars has its own alien soundscape. Because, like, the noises that the creature on Mandalore was making that captures Mando is so uniquely Star Wars, where I'm like, oh, alright, that is what an alien creature in Star Wars sounds like. And by the way, that creature design was fantastic. I loved the design of it. And seeing, Bo-Katan fight it was so much fun. Her with the Darksaber. And I think the thing is, too, it's like, because we get to see both her with the Darksaber and Mando with the Darksaber in the episode, and see how different they are fighting with it. Mando doesn't know how to use it, because it has that thing where it gains weight the more you don't know how to use it. But Bo-Katan knows how to use it. So she just going in there and fucking shit up with it. And, she dispatches that thing very easily. Meanwhile, Mando, who still doesn't know how to fight with it properly, he has a harder time fighting the mostly naked alien creatures that are on the planet that are just trying to kill him, that look like they stepped out of Land of the Lost. And I think it's kind of an interesting kind of juxtaposition of the two of them. And then for her to be like, no, I'm going to help you with this, to help you, because this is a suicide mission, and I'd rather we just get this over with so I can stop dealing with you. That whole thing is really interesting, and for her to go with him down to the mines is a great idea. And next week, we're going to find out what happened to Mando. All in all, I think it's a great episode. I think this episode's substantially stronger than the last one, and I think that they do a great job of really building out the world of Mandalore, and building out the secrets and the origins of Mandalore for audiences who may not be as familiar. I think that they do a great job with that, because it's like going in and it's like, oh, and here's the origin story for Mandalore. Here is our creation myth, and I think that's such a great piece. Anytime we get something like that in a universe, a creation myth, I'm always like, I love this so much. Where it's like, it is Mandalore's version of the story of Romulus and Remus, who were raised by wolves and founded Rome. And it is like, it is such a great, it's such a great little, world building addition to have her tell that story while they're going through the caves. And for her to tell not just Mando, but also Grogu, because I think she also recognizes Grogu. I mean, she definitely recognizes Grogu as a foundling. So she's giving him more and more information. Like, she's seeing it as like, oh, this is what we're teaching him the ways of the Mandalore. And I think it's such a great little, addition to the world to have that, where it's like, all right, well, we'll tell you about the origins of the world, what this world was like before the Empire turned its glass from orbit. And it's like, it's such a great little addition. I wonder if we see that in Bad Batch, maybe. Would be interesting. Because that's the thing the Bad Batch doesn't have so far. It's a distinct lack of Mandalorians in the Bad Batch. I'm interested to see where that goes. Because Hera was in one episode last season. Maybe Sabine showed up in an episode. No, Sabine will be too young, I think. I think Hera's, not substantially older, but older by a not unsubstantial margin, if that makes sense. So, for Hera to be there kind of makes... Well, I mean, it should be, a baby, maybe. Well, depending on how old she is in Rebels. I don't know how old she's supposed to be in Rebels, but whatever. Not important. My question is, where does this season go? Because if they're going to wrap up this storyline of him, being reacquainted to a religious order, then how does it work? How do they go from here and build their own, and build out the next 5 episodes? Because by the end of episode 3 of 8, we're going to be done with this arc. I mean, look, at this point, I would have been okay with them doing an entire season of figuring out how to get back to Mandalore and going down there and doing their thing, and that being the entire season. But at this point, based on what they've done so far and where they are in that arc, I'm more at the point where it's like, if they go on too much further than this, and they go on and spend too much more time here, it will overstay its welcome. It will not be a great a great thing. So they kind of have to, figure that out. the fine line between taking too long on this arc and having it be emotionally fulfilling and all of that. And then from there, where do you go? And, maybe, I don't know where in the galaxy Kijimi is supposed to be. That's the interesting thing. I don't know where it's supposed to be. Maybe Kijimi is in the Outer Rim. If Kijimi is in the Outer Rim, maybe that's where they could be going. Maybe they could be going out into wild space. Maybe they could be going out, because I'm noticing a bit of a trend here with Star Wars, and I think we've talked about it on Exploring Hyperspace Lanes, we've talked about it in Beware of Spoilers. I'm noticing this trend where 30-minute reviews where we talked about it. I'm noticing a trend where they're starting to branch out, and the plan for some of these shows is to go outside the galaxy and go elsewhere. Maybe we get the first taste of the Chiss Ascendancy in live action. Maybe we get to see the Grist in live action. Maybe we get to see what's in the neighboring galaxy, or what's going on in the unknown regions, or in wild space, or whatever. Maybe all of that happens. Maybe we get to see the formation of the First Order in the unknown regions, which, would be interesting. It would be an interesting way to do it, because I don't think we've hit the Battle of Jakku yet. So I think the war is still ongoing, technically. I want to say the Battle of Jakku was 7 years after, so I think we're still quite... Maybe I'm wrong. I could be very wrong about that, so don't take that as you will. But, I think that that's the best way to go if we're really going to, talk about this, is that I would like to see the formation of the First Order. And Mando kind of not being involved with that, because that makes it sound like he's a neo-Nazi, but Mando trying to stop it and ultimately being unsuccessful. Or not trying to stop it, but taking missions that are, or just taking missions that are unwittingly helping the formation of the First Order. Because I think that, and I've talked about this before, if there's one part of the Star Wars lore that's not quite as well explained as it should be, it is definitely that the First Order, the First Order's rise and all of that is not quite explained. Where did they come from? Where did the Empire go? All of that kind of stuff is not really well laid out. And I think that would be an interesting front to take the story, is to be okay, so we are, here's what we have going on, and that is, that would be an interesting thing to do. But we'll wrap up there for today. And we'll be back with, tomorrow we have The Bad Batch, whatever the next episode number is. I think it's episode 13 or 14. We're getting toward the home stretch on that. We also have Scream 6 tomorrow. Saturday we have the movie 65, the new Adam Driver movie where Adam Driver fights a dinosaur, which I'm all in for. It sounds ridiculous. Hopefully it will be ridiculous. We'll see it. And that'll be on Saturday. Saturday we will also be discussing The Flash, episode 5, I think. That sounds right? Yeah, maybe. Episode 4, episode 5 of the final season of The Flash. Mask of the Red Death Part 2. And then we will also be talking about... probably not going to do Champions. Just don't feel like it. We'll see, though. Maybe on Sunday. It'll depend on schedules. And as always, you can go to multipleworldproductions.com/calendar to see the full calendar of upcoming events, including when we'll be doing Oscar coverage, which I think is Wednesday on 30-minute reviews, our new series on 30-minute reviews. All of that information will be available on the calendar page. So, until our next episode, which will be tomorrow, for The Bad Batch, have a great rest of your week.